So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a feedback or survey activity. So once you've logged in as a course editor, you want to turn editing on. The button is either located on your top bar, or you can click on the gear icon over here and click on Turn Editing On. Now once you've turned editing on, you'll see a couple more options appear to you. Now in order to add the feedback activity, you can click on Add an Activity or Resource. You'll see the feedback activity over here. You can click on the feedback activity. It gives you a description of what it does, and then you can scroll down and click Add. Now once you've clicked on Add, it's going to prompt you for a couple of settings over here. So the first thing we want to put in is the name of our feedback. So let's, for the purposes of this one, we're just going to call it feedback activity. Like that. You can enter a description for this feedback activity, but you don't have to, and you can display it on your course page. That's also optional. If you want to know what it does, you can click on the question mark over here. You can set the availability of your feedback activity. So when you allow answers, from which date to when you allow answers to be closed off. You can set the settings for your question and submission. So sometimes you want to record the usernames or keep it anonymous. So in this case, we're going to see who the usernames are. You can allow multiple submissions. You can enable notifications and auto number your questions. You can click on these question marks if you want to find out what each one does. And then after submission. So this is the message that the user will get once they've submitted the feedback activity. So you can say something like, congrats, this survey was successfully completed. And if you want to make it bold, you can. You can use the text editor. Perhaps you want to make the text large. We're going to do that. And then optional, you can provide a link. So once they've completed the survey, this link will take them to wherever you want. But if you leave it by default, that's also optional. And you can press the question mark to see what this does. These over here you can ignore, and we're going to click on Save and Display. So once you've clicked on Save and Display, it's going to take you to the Overview tab. It's going to let you know how many answers were submitted and how many questions you have, as well as the completion message, which the users will see after they've answered the questions. And of course, you can test it for yourself. But you don't have any questions yet. So the first thing you're going to do is click on this Edit Questions tab, and then you can start adding questions. So I'm just going to do a basic example, and you have various types over here which you can add. So for this question, I'm simply going to use a multiple choice question type. You can add labels to format your survey better. You can add short text answers, numeric answers. You can rate your multiple choice. You can provide information. It's completely up to you. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to simply do a multiple choice question. So once you click on multiple choice, you can decide whether this question is required or not. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to say yes, this question is required. And the question, I'm going to say question 1, how did you enjoy our service? As a sample question. You can add a label, but you don't need to. This is what the user will see on the page once you've added it. Then you've got these multiple choice types. So for a multiple choice, you can have a single answer, which means they can only select one option. They can select more than one option using multiple answers, or you could create a drop list where a single answer is allowed. For this video, I'm going to use the drop list. Now, you can leave these different options as default, and important over here is the multiple choice values in this box over here. And over here it tells you to use one line for each answer. So how did you enjoy our service? So for the first thing, I'm going to say your service was top quality as a one option. The second option, your service was poor. And perhaps a third option is I'd rather not say. However you decide to set up your questions, it's completely up to you. but it's important to have one line per answer. And then you're going to click on Save Question. Now once you've saved the question, you're going to see it appear over here. Now you can continue adding questions of your choice. You can add labels to format your survey better. It's completely up to you. Once you've completed adding your questions, you want to go back to the Overview tab, and to preview your survey, you're going to click on Answer the Questions. So you can see it's a feedback activity. The username will be logged and showed with answers. And here's your question: how did you enjoy our service? And there's the drop-down box. They can select it and then submit answers. Now once you've distributed this to your database, obviously it's going to populate responses. So to view your responses, you want to click on the activity and you want to click on the Show Responses tab. Now in this video we haven't actually answered the question, but this is where you'll see your responses, and over here will be listed all the responses from your users. Should you require more help on the feedback activity, please feel free to email support@mypluto.co.za.